Good morning, everyone. Good morning. I'm here in audio. This is a good thing. Welcome back. Glad you guys came in and checked us out. We're going to give some time for everyone to roll in. Thank you so much for checking out the stream today. We got a good one. We've been off stream for a little bit. Got a ton of projects going on, but all good things. So with that, we have a lot to cover. If you're struggling with stream on LinkedIn or any other platforms, always check out YouTube. Put that link in there. If you don't like YouTube and you want to check us out on Twitch, that link is in there as well. So we can always stay in touch and chat. So that's what we're here for. Make your viewing experience the best possible. So check out the links. Always check out the socials. We're going to dive into a lot of stuff today, though, specifically revolving around AI, because it's always the hottest topic to talk about. A couple things that got announced yesterday, a couple crazy things that happened related to AI overall, and gonna talk about customer experience and what that means for artificial intelligence and how CX is going to be impacting that flow. So I appreciate you coming in. For those of you that this is your first time here, thanks for showing up. For those of you that repeat offenders, if you will, or repeat viewers, I appreciate you coming in and checking us out. As always, my name is Rob Petrosino, futurist, technologist, all-around great guy, and my job is to make you comfortable with emerging technologies, make you feel more excited about adopting that technology, and ultimately making you be an advocate for this technology within your organization or outside in your daily life. For those of you who have never been here before, we tried to keep these around 15 minutes long, so hang in there, check it out. If the stream struggles around 8 minutes, hop over to one of the other ones. I have chat open, so feel free to throw chats in there. Feel free to ask questions ad hoc, and we will take them on. But today, we are going to talk about some really interesting things that came out just yesterday from Meta. So with that, let's dive into the screen share. All right, so here we are. Closed captions are up and running, so I'm pretty happy about that. But the one that I wanted to talk about today and the news side of things, or new release side of things, we're going to try to break this up into a couple different ways. We're going to talk about some new releases, we're going to talk about some news, and then we're going to talk about some business impacts and what that means. So one of the things that just came out yesterday was Meta released their brand new MMS, which is a new acronym for all of us to learn, which is a massive multilingual speech project. I'm going to pause this video. I don't want to get too deep in it, but what they did was they created a little bit over 1,100, a little bit over 1,000 languages that are able to be done with text-to-speech and speech-to-text for translation. Which is really, really interesting because this is an incredibly hard tool to use, process to do for machine learning. Everyone has different enunciations on how they speak, how words can change slightly. So making sure that this was accurate is an incredibly difficult task. So with that, to kind of give you an idea of what they did and how they ran this, it was pretty impressive overall. So what they did was they took about 4,000 languages that ranged all across the US and tried to narrow them down by equipping machines the ability to understand the speech that was input and then processed through that model. They're sharing the public code, so it is available at the bottom of this. There's GitHub repository. This is the map of all the ones that are covered. So you can do language identification, which is very interesting because you can ID a language that's being spoken versus not being able to ID that language. That's always a big failure point. But then there's also speech-to-text and text-to-speech language ID in your major triangles here, right? Those purple triangles for those of you that are looking. So what they did was they wanted to directly reduce the number of character errors that were there, as well as the number of errors overall that happen when doing text to speech or speech to text. So They trained about 1,100 languages, and the way that they sourced that was actually using standardized text. So in this, they talk about using the Bible as a standardized text that would be communicated across a slew of different languages, and then being able to be used as a metric for that. So this is the interesting part, though, when they start comparing it to some of the other ones out there. So word error rates. So for those of you that don't know, OpenAI has Whisper, which is a text-to-speech tool, and they compared it to MMS, and MMS significantly outperformed on word errors, where MMS only had 18, Whisper had about 44. Now, again, what we look at, though, is this is only 100 languages. This is about 1,100 languages, about 680,000 hours labeled data, which is a large data set, where Facebook has been able to do this through only about 45,000 hours of labeled data, which is a significant change, right? So OpenAI and what they're doing is absolutely fantastic when it comes to the ChatGPT side, but MMS and what Facebook did was incredibly impressive here. When we get to error rate percentages, this is what it kind of looks like. Just supporting over 100 languages with SpeechBrain and AmberLet, they see about 4.7 to 6.7, right? MMS does 10x that or more, and is only doing about a 6.1% error rate. These videos are pretty interesting, and how they're equipping machines to understand the speech that's being produced and make it more accessible for people around the world. It's really impressive. This is really focused on getting to a single speech model that can be used across devices. Here is the GitHub repo, pretty well documented as always with Meta and their releases. So this is just one of the more recent releases that came out. This came out just yesterday. Really well done, really impressive. It obviously is drawing a high level of accuracy for a very wide range of tools. So this is one of our first little new releases that we're going to talk about, but we would be amiss if we didn't talk about something that just happened as well yesterday on the news side. On the news side, there is a false report came out that the Pentagon had a explosion near it. This explosion was a AI generated model, an AI generated image, which is pretty crazy. But one of the things that actually yielded from this was a pretty deep stock market reaction. So there's about a $500 million stock market reaction that dropped down, but then came back up once it came out that this was fake. This was tweeted by a lot of different organizations. There was even some Bloomberg blue checks that verified that this image and this news report was real, but you could see some fake stuff going on here when it comes to this fence, as well as the building in and of itself. So a pretty crazy world that we live in, that we're already starting to see deep fake interactions that are happening on the news outlet. So that takes us to the next portion of what we're talking about here, which is really how AI is going to affect customer journeys. And we kind of did this in a bunch of different ways. Oh no, or we'll go to AI maturation models. Don't worry about it. So CX has been hurting and helping us in a bunch of different ways. From the start of time, CX has always been a focus on working with empathy-driven experiences, and those empathy-driven experiences unlock or allow us to have a better customer experience overall. And because of that better customer experience, we can have higher pretty much everything from customer satisfaction to AOV, etc., etc. So when we think of what this is potentially going to do in the terms of artificial intelligence, we see a massive shift in how customers are going to interact with brands, and probably is one of the largest opportunities for an organization to have an experience that is unique, novel, and to a degree really focused on the user. So if we're empathy driven when it comes to CX, we can have an empathy driven experience on the web, and that unlocks the long-term value to that customer. They've engaged with a brand that cares about them and wants them to have a smooth experience. This could be from anything from the language translation that we just talked to all the way through the other side of the coin when it comes to generative AI imagery, right? Generative AI imagery is something that we just saw an example of, but will be impacting pretty much every portion of CX as well. So with that, let's head on over to the screen share and talk about CX specifically in a couple different ways. So sorry about that, everyone. Sometimes we just gotta log in and log back out. All right, so here we go. So let's zoom in a bit here on the sheet so we can see it a little bit better. All right, maybe not. So let's do this. Let's blow this guy up a little bit. All right, fantastic. So we think of making sure users have a unique experience when it comes onto a website, app, etc. We need to understand how CX plays a part of it, right? Really, customer experience and enterprise experience, which is on the other side of the coin here. So we have CX on this side, enterprise experience on this side. It really happens across a slew of different areas, from touch to gesture, chat to voice to vision. Okay, so touch, how we interact with a web page on mobile, right? Am I scrolling through something? Am I not? Gestures, that's a little bit more geared towards headsets, VR, that type of work. Chat is standard across pretty much every single platform as it stands right now. Voice, obviously, speaking to or having a type of voice search enablement or just voice enablement on the web is fantastic, and vision. So each one of these is going to be impacted by AI at some point in time. The easy one to think about is on the side of vision and the side of chat, right? Chat has already been explored when it comes to CX, and we talk about this all this time, but translation is going to be a huge portion of that experience overall on the chat side. So when we think of how chat can be impacted by AI, translation is a great one. Refined searches, making sure that the search is more impactful for the user, is going to be a good way of doing it. When we get over to the vision side, though, right, creative AI, like Midjourney and the others on that side, you will have a big input on AI and impacting that portion of it. So as you want to see how different styles, different looks, different feels, you can have generative or creative AI impact that area. When we get to voice, we just saw our MMS, right? Our very large multi-lingual model come out for AI for translation and voice. Can we do better text-to-speech and speech-to-text? Can we have virtual avatars that actually conversate back with us in a meaningful and impactful way? That's going to be huge. And then when we think about touch and gesture, how do I interact with the page? And how is that going to differ from someone else? So this interaction tracking that's going to be happening as well related to AI is going to be meaningful and impactful. So if I know that I'm always shopping for suit jackets, right? My personalization is to show me suit jackets. But if this is how I traditionally navigate suit jackets on a page, and AI is understanding that and creating an optimized path for me and showing me what I want, how and when I want to see them, that's where we see AI impacting it and helping it be decision driven. So these CX experiences are all going to be impacted by AI in some way, shape, or form, and making sure that you start investing now in what that experience looks like is going to be equally impactful as you do in the long run when you start building out specific teams to attack these different areas. So making sure that we are aligned and driven to, and making sure that we're seeing the future of AI and its impact across these various areas, not just thinking of it only as a text translation tool or a large language model tool. AI is quite literally going to be impacting all these areas, from text to computer vision to generative and creative AI when it comes to images and that type of work as well. So this is very expansive when we think about it, right? There's a lot of different things that are happening in this space, even down to the fact that we can talk about like an AI maturation model. And we're going to just run through this really quickly. We're going to take a deeper dive into this later on. But if we think about organizations' access to these tools, right, we have a level 1 organization that basically is not touching AI, has to a degree buried their head in the sand. That happens, right? Some organizations just don't think AI is going to impact them. That's okay. That's their belief. A level 2 organization is exploring and ideating. They're trying to figure out how to develop a roadmap that potentially works with AI and is starting some small proof of concepts. Level 3 is basically working fully integrated with AI and is creating a center of excellence to provide oversight into projects that are coming through. Level 4 is optimizing and refining those AI integrations and making sure that they're more meaningful and impactful. And then level 5, transformational, is really taking AI and the AI models that they're creating and creating new revenue streams off of them. So this is a pretty wide expanse, all the way from I don't know what I'm doing, I don't think AI is going to impact me, all the way through I'm driving revenue because I'm using AI in the market. So this is what we talk about when we're thinking of the transition of AI within an organization, how massive shifts happen across CX, across the organization overall, and ultimately making sure that you have the right talent and teams that are available. So one of the things that we don't talk about enough, and we'll talk about more, is talent and teams for AI, generative, analytical AI, and the teams that are going to need to be carrying that out, what those look like. So that'll be coming up in a couple later podcasts. We're down on some of the other platforms, but I appreciate you guys coming in. If you like this one, feel free to comment, make a comment, share it, anything that you want. I appreciate you guys checking us out and always listening in. There's a lot going on in this space. It will continue to evolve, and my job is to make you feel more and more comfortable with it. So I appreciate you coming in. I appreciate you stopping by, and I will see you guys and gals on the other side.